This is Marianne Scully. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm not a frequent flyer on social media. If you watch this video, you'll realize that pretty quickly. But I did want to address a couple of things. I've been watching in horror, just like everybody else, what's going on in the Ukraine, and I know people are trying things, multiple things, and they're trying very hard. But I want to say that we knew the right thing to do and we didn't do it immediately. We're in NATO, and I'm not for throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think these organizations can achieve an awful lot. Look at the good they've done in restricting funds for Russia while this onslaught is happening. I commend that, but that should not have been the first order of business. When Putin aligned his troops at the Ukrainian border, the size of his army was about 3-1. So we knew right there by numbers what was happening. Deny it, deny it, deny it, because nobody wants a World War III. That's not what this is about. Everybody realizes how serious it is. We don't want a World War III, but if you think you can ignore this man and not give him any penalties for his actions, he's going to persist. When Assad, he was the same way. When he was in Syria killing his own people, President Obama rightfully said there's going to be consequences if it's genocide. So they found out it was genocide, and then the line shifted. We had to find out if it was chemical weapons. It doesn't matter what method or what tools they use to kill people. Innocent people get slaughtered. So who comes to his rescue but Vladimir Putin? He's still in power now, and we've got poor Syrians scattered all over the place, just like the Ukrainians. But I think the Ukrainians will get back. I do have that hope. But we've been letting Putin dictate what's going to happen and just stand there hand-wringing because you can't believe that he would threaten what he's threatened. Well, he's done it. Now the idea is President Zelensky was correct. There needs to be air cover. Then, because of the atrocities committed, I'm not for any civilians in the Russian government, Russian territory being attacked, but it's time to cross borders. It's time to hit his material, his water supplies, his food supplies, his munition supplies, his aircraft. I'm kind of stunned at the lack of imagination. When he said he would not invade the Ukraine if President Zelensky signed an agreement saying he wouldn't join NATO, that's when you should have sprung into action. He's got no right to say that. He has no right to make any demand on any other sovereign state like that. And what NATO should have done was spring into action, bind themselves together, admit the Ukraine under emergency provision to the NATO nations, and back him to the hilt. Putin is scared of the United Nations. He didn't want World War III without debilitating all the people that might ally with the U.S. So placating him has got a couple of airships to the aircraft to the south of us that are equipped with nuclear warheads. So I'm just praying that somebody's watching out for them, north, south, east, and west. But it does no good to placate Vladimir Putin. He's a box of snakes. He's lied through everything. He's lied to his people. He has to control media. The reason all the Ukrainian civilians have to die is because he can't take any objection. Nobody can think differently or act differently than he tells them to. Well, now, the rest of the modern world's been able to progress. England had to divest of some of its Commonwealth countries. France has given its country, people self-determination, so is every other country. They can move, but he wants to go back. He wants the old USSR, but that is a starting place for him. That's not where he's going to end up. If you don't stop this nonsense right now, I'm telling you, and then I heard somebody about 2.5 weeks into the whole thing, I heard somebody on television, I think US, but a NATO or US person say, when they were fiddle-farting around about getting MiGs over to the Ukraine, he says, well, we did a cost-benefit analysis and it was assessed to be a high risk. If 45 million lives is not worth high risk, where are you going? What is your purpose? You know, after this is all over, I think both NATO and the US need to have a deep discussion about their purpose. I think there is a genuine purpose. I think we all need to support it. But taxpayers have paid a lot of money with the idea that never again. And the reason NATO was formed is because during World War II, we had an ally in Russia because they were fighting the Germans. But little did we know what we were getting ourselves into. It turns out Stalin was of the same mindset. So there's much bloodletting and letting in the bloodlands there in between Germany and Russia to make him on a par. And that's why I can't figure out why everybody is flummoxed from Putin. He is going to be found out to be a fraud, and he's going to be aberrant in history. But in the meantime, Ukrainians are innocent. They have a right to their homeland. Nobody has a right to go in there and sign a document and say they're taking a portion of their country, or to move troops in there and say they're taking a portion of their country. But they've also taken life, limb, structures. I mean, really. And did anybody do a cost-benefit analysis of this? I don't ever want to hear that on TV again, by the way. But did anybody analyze what it costs if you don't make the right strike initially? How much you're spending in supplies, ammunition, material, personnel. Not to mention the horde costs, which is going to go on for years now, of poor Ukrainians having to flee, get resettled other places. Their whole cities are going to have to be built up before they can return. Mostly, I'm just saying, what you've done is good, but not enough and not right. Go do what President Zelensky asked. Do it now. I just am amazed at the man's goodwill and ability to function when we've been treacherous. And to that point, I'd also like newspapers. New York Times, the Washington Post, the Charlotte Observer, the Tampa paper, the Los Angeles Times, Seattle Times, Chicago Tribune, and any point in between. If you can find somebody to fund it, run that memorandum of agreement we had with the Ukraine on your front page, how they gave up nuclear weapons because they weren't even supposed to have a threat, much less an invasion. I think it's really important. People here have infotainment instead of news, and their attention's diverted, and it's not a pleasant topic, and God knows America doesn't like to do anything that's not pleasant or camera perfect. But it's time to get off our duffs and help these people in the right way and immediately. We're not going to be able to look at ourselves in the face. We've been immoral, unethical, and illegal in our behavior, and I want it changed. And I'll just pray that happens, and I'll pray for Ukraine. Thank you.